Welcome to What Is It Like to Homestead Part 3. If you guys haven't seen Part 1 and Part 2, we'll put a link at the end of this video so you guys can check out those videos. But today we're going to be talking about a bunch of different topics. One in particular, what is it like to homestead as a couple?
Now, it's not always easy to homestead with a partner.
No, it's not.
I have a lot of different groups and forums that I'm part of on Facebook and Instagram regarding homesteading. And one of the big questions that comes up over and over and over again is, I want to homestead, my partner or spouse doesn't. How can I convince them?
You're not going to be able to.
The short answer is you can't.
No.
If somebody doesn't want to homestead, don't make them. It's not an easy lifestyle. It's not an easy decision to make.
No.
And you can't force somebody into it. And if they end up hating it, you're going to struggle.
Or even possibly get a divorce.
Which ultimately does happen in some cases.
Because when you're homesteading and one of you is at home and the other one has a job, you have that apart time. But when you're homesteading, like in our case, and you're both home all day long, you're together 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and you're not always going to agree on projects.
And you don't. There's always different ideas and different ways of doing things, and you really have to learn how to compromise because things have to get done no matter what, and it can't get done if you're fighting the whole time.
I've just learned that I'm always wrong.
That's pretty much the easiest way to go, is just to let me do what I want and you just accept it. And that seems to work good.
Works for me.
We've now been together, how
17
many?
years.
17 years in November. Yep. And a full year and a month of nonstop every day, yep. 24 hours a day, including living in the truck for 6 days driving here.
Yep, exactly. So if you guys are new in your relationship, a year, 2 years old, and all of a sudden you decide, hey, let's start homesteading. Mm-hmm. You may want to take a little bit more time and get to know each other before you jump into something. This is a huge commitment.
It is. It's a big undertaking, and you definitely don't want to do it in your first couple of years when you're still figuring each other out. We waited a long time before we were able to finally homestead. And he already knows that I'm right all the time, so it was fine.
Easy.
It was definitely fine. Yeah, like who gets the property, who gets the animals, who leaves.
Yeah, that's a tough one. Like when you get into homesteading and you get all these animals, you know, you got a lot invested into homesteading and possibly years into homesteading. And one of you says, I don't want to do this anymore. Mm-hmm. I want to lead a city life. Well, it's really tough to, split everything up.
I'll take your Hascat bushes.
And you can have the 3 goats and I'll take the 2 pigs.
Yeah, exactly.
It doesn't work like that.
That's my chicken.
Yeah. So as a couple, when you guys are thinking about homesteading, you want to make sure, we watch quite a few other homesteading channels and we see, without them even admitting it, and I know a lot of our viewers probably can watch other channels and can see it too, one person just does not enjoy homesteading and the other person does.
Yeah,
in so many relationships. And we're not going to name any other channels.
No,
we're not going to call anybody out on this.
But
there are a lot of homesteading channels where one partner is deep into homesteading and the other one's like, what do I have to do? I have to do that?
Yeah, I'm not doing that.
I might get dirty.
Project. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And it can put animosity into the relationship too, right? Because one person feels like they're taking care of everything from animals and gardens and foods, and the other person's like, oh, well, that's your thing.
The hardest part, I think, in a lot of situations, and for us, we moved from BC to New Brunswick, both intending on homesteading, but there's a lot of situations where we see online where one person has been working for several years, the other person has been homesteading for 4 or 5 years, the other person is now able to quit their job and stay home, and well, the relationship takes a turn for the worse once the other partner starts to stay home. So figuring out how strong your relationship is before you start homesteading is a must.
Yeah, definitely don't put yourself in that position. It's not worth it in the long run. Homesteading should be something that you both enjoy. Yeah. And for us, it is. That was our ultimate goal years ago, was to have property. So, yes.
Yeah, yes. The other thing, too, with homesteading is being financially set. And like we've talked about in the other 2 videos, and we'll touch briefly on this topic for some of you that haven't seen part 2 and part 1 of what's it like to homestead is income. Like, where's your income going to come? If you are both staying at home, where's your income going to come from? And like we said before, a lot of people have this big, foggy, dream that they're going to sell a whole bunch of vegetables at their local farmer's market and make enough money to sustain them for 12 months. And that's just not the case. That's not going to happen.
It doesn't happen that way for everybody. It's actually really hard to make a full-time living off just your gardens. You would have to have extremely large gardens to be able to make a living off that alone.
Because you have to sustain yourself first before you can make a living. So you're feeding yourself and you're feeding the public, basically, is how you have to look at it when you're selling produce.
And that's hard to do. So there's lots of different ways. You have to have some sort of a passive income, something that you can do from home that makes you money so that you can support the farm.
Exactly. And we've looked at a couple different things that we can maybe try and do a home business. Our main reason for starting YouTube was for documenting our path that we're going down, homesteading/farming. So in the future, our kids can look back on where they came from, what it was like to grow up. We have a lot of family back west that watch our videos, and they find it really interesting to be able to see what we're doing on a daily basis.
Hi, Mom and Dad.
And what you guys will notice is now we have gone to daily videos. We're taking 1 or 2 days off a week because you can't film 7 days a week. It's just way too much.
Yeah.
Even for us, going up to 5 or 6 days a week has been a lot of work for us.
It's a challenge for sure.
We enjoy it. You have to really enjoy filming, editing. You have to enjoy the YouTube community, and that's something that I'm really passionate about is editing. I used to have a YouTube channel about 8 years ago where I was testing products and doing all sorts of neat things with different products. And I actually made a small income from that. But YouTube has now made a lot of changes to their platform where you have to have 1,000 subscribers and 4,000 hours of watch time before you can be monetized.
Yeah.
So that's the other thing we are also kind of looking at with YouTube is one day we can possibly make an income from YouTube and it'll help us grow the farm.
Yeah, it's not going to fully support us. It's not going to buy us a new farm. It's not going to buy us fancy vehicles. But it's more just to supplement things so we can, build more outbuildings or pay for feed for the chickens and other animals in the future. It's more just supplemental. It's not our end goal is to make a living and get rich off YouTube because that doesn't happen very often. You have to be huge to get there. Exactly. And that's definitely not something that's on our radar. It's more just a little extra.
Exactly. And the other thing too is we've also talked about in the future becoming Amazon affiliates through our channel because I'm really passionate about testing products and letting people know about products that are good and products that aren't good. And that's what my other channel was about, was testing products. Now, we've gone from BC, a full-time job, and a part-time, hobby, testing products to now homesteading. Do I want to stay on the testing products, path? I want to kind of blend them together, homesteading and testing products. And once we get to the point where we can actually be an Amazon affiliate, we can then start testing products for you guys more in depth. And ones that we believe actually work, we can then pass that knowledge on to you guys. So that's something else in the future to look forward to from us.
Yeah, because you'll notice now, we'll tell you guys if we try a product and it works great and we really love it. And we've also told you guys if we've tried stuff and it doesn't work and we don't like it.
There's a lot of stuff out there that doesn't work.
There's a lot of things out there that we've tried that just don't stand up and don't last. So when we find something that's good and something that works, we always want to be able to share that with you guys for sure.
Exactly. And with wintertime coming soon, we have a lot of things here over the next few weeks that we have to start getting prepared for here on the homestead with our animals. Last year, we had no animals here on the homestead. And that's something else that you really want to look at when you start homesteading is you want to take your first year and evaluate where your gardens are going to go, where your animals are going to go. Learn your area, learn your land. Don't jump into animals right away.
Yeah.
Because you might make a mistake on putting your barn in an area like what we did.
Yeah.
We put our garlic in an area that flooded.
And if we had built our barn down there, which technically we could have because it's the largest, flattest space from the house, but it's in a flood zone when the snow melts, and we never would have known that beforehand. So it's a good thing that we waited, and now all of our animals are up the top of the hill, so there's no chance of their shelters ever flooding, and we don't have to worry about it.
Speaking of flooding, today we are going through a bomb cyclone.
Never even heard of a bomb cyclone before. Back in BC, they just call it rain.
They call it a rain event, but here they give it names. They call it hurricanes. But today is just a miserable day out. We might even get some flooding today, which it's just going to be crazy. And that's something else, is if you are planning on homesteading in the Maritimes, Atlantic Canada, New Brunswick, Nova Scotia, PEI, you get these intense storms that come in, and wow, it can bring a lot of wind, a lot of rain, and power outages. Yeah,
I'm actually really surprised that the power is still on. I really thought for sure with the wind this morning that we were going to lose power. So knock on wood.
The storm isn't completely over us yet.
No, it's not. But so far so good. The power hasn't gone out, and we were able to make dinner. Dinner's already ready. It's just sitting there keeping warm. So we don't have to worry about that tonight.
What's good too is that if you are planning on homesteading and you have a wood stove, of course you can cook on it. And that was one of our main objectives when we first got on the homestead, was we need to start thinking about a backup heat source where we can cook and stay warm. Because being remote where we are, if the power goes out and we're under 30, 40 centimeters of snow, you can't get out of your driveway to go into town somewhere warm. You're stuck in a cold house.
Yeah, exactly. And the same as the animals. We've started preparing their stalls for the cold and the snow because they're going to be stuck inside too. So as you guys have probably seen the last few days, we cleaned out the chicken coop. We got their flooring all done. We put a ton of bedding in there for them. They have their inside and outside doors now to keep the cold and the snow out. The same with the goats. We did all their bedding the other day. We added a huge layer of shavings with straw. And you also saw their new bunk beds that the goats are loving. And that's going to help keep them entertained when they're locked inside for long hours.
Yeah. We're also experimenting with different ways to keep our water without using electricity from freezing this winter. And that's going to be a huge task for us. Because, last year, our nighttime lows on average were minus 25, minus 28. Daytime highs were minus 15 here. Now, that was an extreme winter, we were told.
It was. That was way, way above normal.
And the snow started in October and didn't melt until April.
Yeah. So we're hoping, fingers crossed. Yes. Everybody tells us this is supposed to be a much milder winter. And so far, there's no snow in the forecast.
Just a lot of rain lately.
But last year at this time, there was snow in the forecast for the end of October. Yeah. And we're lucky that hasn't happened yet. We're hoping that holds off until sometime late November would be nice. Yeah. Ideally, December would be even better.
Absolutely. And I'm hoping that it melts by March so we can get into, our gardens earlier this year. Exactly. Our gardens struggled this year big time. And that's what caused us to lose a lot of our garden. We got a fairly good harvest this year, but nothing compared
like
to what
we
thought.
Were hoping.
No.
Our season was so short.
We lost our corn and our pumpkins to the hurricane. Hurricane Dorian came in. We lost all that crop, which was a huge upset for us.
It was a huge loss. We worked so hard to get that corn in and planted, and we're so excited for it. And literally within a couple of hours, the wind kicked up and it was all flat on the ground and broken. And it's heartbreaking.
We didn't get to harvest that. We also didn't get to harvest our Haskap berries this year because they didn't produce. Yeah. And reevaluating what actually happened, we're thinking that possibly where we planted them, the soil isn't very rich. So if you guys noticed in a couple other videos recently, we have put some compost around them. We put some sawdust down. We're going to do that again come spring. And we're going to be on the water really good this year because it does get hot and dry here in July and August.
Yeah, for sure. We've installed new water lines. I'm sure any of you guys that follow us on Instagram saw that we did a whole bunch of new water lines downstairs running water to both sides of the house. So we'll be able to get hoses out to the caps for sure to keep them watered this summer when it gets dry and hot.
That was our problem this year, is because they're so far back on the property, was getting water to them. We weren't set up for that at all this year.
But, you know, live and learn. It's your first year. You can't expect everything to go perfect. We did what we could.
Nothing went perfect for us this year. Like the potato towers.
Yeah, we got
a huge letdown. I mean, we saw this online. We thought it'd be a great idea. It would take up not very much space. We went out and we actually bought compost at a garden center. We bought some straw. We figured, hey, we're going to get a good harvest off this. And guess what?
No, we definitely didn't. And I've had some great suggestions from people of how to revamp the potato towers to make them better for next year. But I think what we're going to do is we're just going to simply plant the potatoes in the ground. All our neighbors around us planted them in the ground, and they're pulling out 500, 600, 700 pounds of potatoes.
They had a huge harvest. I mean, you guys saw in the video the other day, our neighbors came over and offered us some of their produce because they knew how our gardens lacked. And of course, their gardens, they've had their gardens for 30, 40 years.
Yeah, they're not new. They're well established. Their soil is so much better than ours. Even though this was a farm 30 years ago, the soil hasn't
been worked in 30 years.
Not worked in a really long time. So it's going to take us some time working the land, getting some compost in there.
Yes.
And that's going to be our big win for next year, I think, for the gardens, is we're going to have good compost between the goats and the chickens.
That'll help a lot.
That should really help our harvest. And of course, we're going to expand all of the gardens next year. We have plans to move where we put things to make things work a little bit better. And we have a huge expansion that we're going to do with the gardens as well.
Exactly. So hopefully next year we can get a bigger harvest that will sustain us right through a 12-month period to the following harvest. And that's our objective. I mean, we harvested quite a bit of stuff this year. I mean, we did. Apples. That's probably one of our biggest harvests. I mean, we have like 12 apple trees here on the homestead, and we thought most of them were crab apples when in fact they're not.
No.
After they actually,
started growing and were getting ripe, we found that there's probably only 3 crab apple trees on the property, and the rest are all actual apples. Like, we have no idea what kind they are.
Variety.
Nobody knows what kind they are. They're just apples, and most of them tasted great. You could eat them right off the tree as soon as they were ripe. We made a ton of apple juice with them, and the kids are loving drinking the apple juice. It's way better than any store-bought you could get.
The only thing we found is we have a juicer that we bought 5-6 years ago. We bought back in BC, and we're finding that the juicer is causing us to lose a lot of our juice just by how fast it spins the apples, and it makes it really foamy, pulpy, and we lose a lot of it. So next year we're actually thinking about buying a fruit press. So that we can press the apples instead of spin them. So that'll be quite interesting to give that a try next year.
It'll be good to see how much of a difference you get between, say, a 5-gallon bucket that we did this year in the juicer versus 5 gallons in a juice press. That'll be a nice change to see.
So next year our plan is 3 times the size in gardens. Potatoes in the ground. More compost on the caps.
For sure.
And in our gardens, we're going to build more raised garden beds. We're going to expand. Next year, I think our main focus is gardens. This year, we had so many projects. We built the chicken coop. We built the goat stalls. We fenced off the front half of our property to keep our animals and our children on the property. We did a lot this year.
We did a lot this year as far as getting the property itself ready for animals and things like that.
Because this wasn't a homesteading / farming.
It wasn't. It was just a house with property that nobody used ever. Nobody went past the backyard. And so it was a lot of work to get it to the point that it is now, and it's still not even where we want it to be. So
I expected to clear a lot more land this summer, and that just didn't happen.
It takes a lot of time. The bush is really thick back there. It's dense. It's rocky. There's huge boulders like the size of our table back there, and it's a lot of work when you're trying to build goat stalls and chicken runs and things like that. But
you go back there with a wheelbarrow, a shovel, a chainsaw, and a rake and expect to clear 5 acres.
Yeah.
It just, You know, and we knew we needed to get a tractor, and that is something on our list over the next couple years. We're figuring maybe next summer, if not the summer after, we're going to be in a situation where we can look at a tractor. We figured we wouldn't get a tractor this year just because we had so many other projects, and the tractor would probably just sit there.
Just sitting most of the time. There's a few things we could have used it for, like carrying the big rolls of wire when we did the fencing.
Exactly.
But the majority of the time, like, the tractor can't build the chicken coop.
No.
It couldn't build the goat stalls.
No.
Things like that. So it would have got very little use this year. Definitely, I think maybe next fall it's something we're going to start looking into seriously, because we have a lot more land to clear. We need room for the pigs. I need
That's
to get
what we're going to be doing this
duck
fall.
run set up so that I can get my ducks next year.
Yeah.
And there's just a lot more expanding that we need to do. We want to be able to move where we plant our corn next year back to the back field.
Yes.
We have acreage back there that's been worked by local farmers for years. And that's something that we want to be able to plant in, because I think the corn's going to do much better back there.
It will, because it has been worked for several years, but the problem is to work the land with a rototiller that you walk behind. It would take me 2 weeks just to rototill that whole area. And as you guys saw in one of the videos, when we were out back there cutting up firewood, we found this old piece of farming equipment that I might be able to restore and pull behind the lawnmower and till up the field with that.
Yeah.
So I'm going to give that a try. That's a project I got coming up for next spring here on the homestead.
Because the list of projects isn't long enough already.
The list of projects.
It's ongoing.
It is 7 days a week. Now, on a day like today where we have a big storm and it's raining really hard outside, we're able to come inside and, bake some bread and make some goodies and make a roast or a stew or something. Mm-hmm. And that's what's good about homesteading is you can choose to come in out of the bad weather and just say, I'm done for today.
Yeah.
I'm going to leave that project for tomorrow, basically.
Exactly. Like, you always still have the animals to take care of. Of course, we fed and watered the goats and the chickens, and everybody got treats. And we'll go out in a little while. I have more treats for the chickens to take them because we didn't let them outside today, just to keep them entertained. We'll check for eggs. But other than that, we can hang out and work inside.
Yeah. And people probably think that don't have animals that, well, if I get chickens and goats and pigs, it's going to take me all day to tend to these animals.
Yeah.
And realistically, in the morning, when we feed the chickens and we let them out, then we feed the goats and we let them out, we can probably do that in 10, 15 minutes.
Yeah, between the two easily, because it doesn't take very long.
No.
And then, spot clean the coop or the stall every week or so. Because they're outside so much, their areas stay fairly clean. So it's not a lot to maintain it. Really,
until
a couple of minutes.
Winter time comes, of course.
Yeah, when you do a huge clean out. But again, that's twice a year that you do a huge major clean out.
Yeah.
So it doesn't take all day to take care of the animals.
And people ask us, we've had a lot of questions, well, how often do you clean out your chicken coop or your goat stalls? It's really up to you. It's how dirty do they get? How often are your animals inside compared to outside? So to really answer that question, it depends on your setup and how you keep your animals either outside or inside the majority of the time.
Yeah, like our chickens have their huge run. It's 80 feet by 40 feet, and they spend all day, every day outside. The only time they're inside is to lay eggs or to roost at night. So it's very clean in the chicken coop, and the shavings last for a really long time because they're not that dirty. Now, winter's going to be a different story when they're locked in all the time. So as soon as the snow is gone off the ground come spring, we're going to completely empty it out again and clean it and start fresh for the summer.
We're going to try and let our chickens outside this winter. I'm going to try and clear the snow around their little grassy areas so they have a place to go and stretch their feet. Mm-hmm. But when you've got 3-4 feet of snow here, the odds...
I can't imagine them wanting to go out there.
It gets icy here. Like, it gets really icy and cold. Last year, we had a lot of ice storms where everything was just covered in ice. You couldn't even walk down the driveway without falling. I think I fell, half a dozen times in the driveway last year, and you would look at me like, where did he go? Where did he go?
You were just gone.
And there I am laying there on my back in the driveway because of the ice.
Yeah, we did finally get nice ice spikes for our boots, which I'm really hoping we don't need this year.
Yeah.
I'm optimistic, but, if it happens, we have them.
Exactly. So our plan for next year here on the homestead is to expand into different kinds of animals, and one being pigs.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And ducks.
Ducks,
and
exactly.
We're also going to expand our types of chickens as well. There's a few other breeds out there I want to try. I would love one day to have a perfect egg rainbow with all the different color eggs. But that's, a long-term goal. That's not something you just, hey, I'm going to get 20 new chickens and they're all going to lay different colored eggs kind of thing. So that's something that I'm going to build on over the next few years. But our main one is going to be our pigs that we're going to get.
Yeah.
And we're also going to be building some chicken tractors.
Yes.
We're going to do meat birds next spring.
We are. Cornish cross meat bird is what we're going to go with. We're going to build this winter downstairs in the wood cellar. I'm going to be building some chicken tractors. We're going to build 2 of them so we could hold, about 20 birds in each of them?
Yeah, we're thinking 20 per chicken tractor.
So 40 birds altogether.
Yeah. And I'm not sure if we're going to do all 40 at one run or if we're going to split them up and do 20, raise them, butcher them, and then do 20 more. I don't know. We're going to have to wait and see.
Spring.
It's going to depend on how easy it is for us to get them and where we have to go to get them. Because, again, that's something that's not as close here. It's hard to find.
We did find this year a pig processing
not
place,
too far away.
Not too far away.
Which is good.
So our plan with the pigs is we're going to buy 2 pigs next year. We're going to raise them both. And we're hoping to sell one so that'll offset the cost of processing the other one. And that'll put the meat in our freezer for the next 12 months.
Yeah, for the cost of feed, basically, is what we're hoping. So when we get our 2 pigs and raise them, the one that we sell, hopefully, we don't have a buyer yet, but hopefully we can sell one to cover the processing fees for our pig, which will put a year's worth of meat in our freezer.
And that's what being self-sustaining is all about, is, selling one to pay for another. Like the other day, we talked to our neighbors and their gardens did so good that we ended up trading a whole bunch of eggs that we had for some produce. And that's what homesteading is about, is bartering. If you can barter with your neighbors, you can save so much money. You get something that you need, and your neighbors get something that they need, and it builds a nice community. And then everybody, gets along good, and it really helps each other out. And that's what homesteading is all about, is really helping each other out. And that was one of our main reasons for starting the YouTube channel, is
a community.
We want a community, and we wanted to show you guys how we're doing, like the stuff that we fail at, the stuff that we're doing good at, everything. That's only me, not you.
Right. I'm good.
And the things that we do good at, because we have a lot of viewers that we've noticed, and they ask us a lot of questions about homesteading because they want to get into it themselves. Of course, a lot of our viewers that, are already homesteading have a lot of really good advice for us, and we really appreciate that.
I love the suggestions that we get from people of things that we may not have thought of or that we haven't tried but might work better than what we're already doing. I love to hear from you guys.
We have learned a lot from you guys, and that's another reason for this channel, is you guys, not only are we sharing our experience with you guys, but you guys are teaching us a lot. We've had so many comments, and we've taken your guys' suggestions, and it has saved us time and even money.
Yeah, for sure it has. Like when we were trying to get that tree down in the forest.
Again, we had an awesome comment about getting a bigger ratchet, so we went out to Princess Auto. We purchased that, and
it
boom.
worked so good. I wish we hadn't done that in the first place. If we had known, we would have bought one.
Yeah.
And it would have been down days before it was. But, live and learn, and we're ready if it happens again.
Exactly. We've had some other comments, people asking us, how we sustain ourselves. And somebody asked us the other day, are you guys planning on doing merch on your YouTube channel?
Yeah, I never even thought about it before, but then somebody's like, "Hey, I would love to have a shirt," and I was like, "Really?
We don't even have a logo yet.
Like, what would we put on it?"
So, will we be putting T-shirts on our site? Maybe down the road. We don't really want to, throw things out there.
Yeah, like, hey, buy this.
Exactly.
It's definitely something we can look into. It's going to take a bit of research and time, though. It's not something that's going to pop up tomorrow.
If the demand gets bigger, people are like, hey, we really like your channel, we'll get some shirts out there, we might try it.
Who knows?
But for now, those questions that we've had that have come in about merch, right at this time, I don't think we're going to do it.
Right now. I don't even have a shirt. Maybe I'll get my own first. We'll see what happens.
So, I mean, if you guys are thinking about homesteading and doing a YouTube channel and you're thinking of ways to make money, that is a way that you can make some money on your YouTube channel to help, offset what you're spending. But in our case right now, we're just not going to be doing that.
Not at this point. It's low on our list of priorities, unfortunately. We have a lot of other stuff that needs to get done and a lot of things that we need to do before we can even take the time to print t-shirts.
It takes a lot, because there's a couple different ways, you can go about it. We've noticed there's a lot of companies out there that'll do what's called print on demand, and you send them your logo and your design, and when somebody orders a shirt, they'll print it and the person will pay for it through their site, and then they'll mail the shirt to them, and then you get a small commission. But it's the designing a logo, designing stuff. You also have to watch out for, copyright when you're designing a logo. You're not using somebody else's print or something, picture or something. So, and that's where, we're not very familiar with that kind of stuff. And that's probably one of the main reasons why we haven't got into merch is I'm not very artistic when it comes to pictures and drawing.
Come on, your stick men are awesome.
No, they're not, by the way. But so down the road, maybe, if you guys got any good tips on, how to create a good logo, definitely leave a comment down below. We're definitely
if you want to design a logo for us, just
hey,
drop it in our email.
Exactly. All our information is down below in the comment section. You guys can say, hey, I'm a really good artist. I can draw you guys up a picture. And we'd love it, But for now, I think we're just going to keep going on the path that we're going on. This channel is basically just for us to document where we've been, where we're going, share our experience with you guys, and have a couple laughs with you guys. And hopefully, we can learn something from you guys too, which I know we have already. And we look forward to learning more from you guys.
And the fact that you guys even like to watch it is just amazing to me. Somebody sent me an Instagram message the other day with a picture of their dog watching me on their TV in their living room.
That was
and
really
it's
cool.
Just crazy to me to even think that somebody somewhere else is watching me on their TV.
And we hit, just the other day, 300 subscribers.
We did, yeah.
Which is, thank you very much, guys.
That's amazing.
That's
I can't
amazing.
even believe how far we've come in a short amount of time.
My old channel I had 8 years ago when I was testing products. Before I closed that channel down, I looked back and I think it had less than 200 subscribers, and it was
8 years or something
it was 8 years. Of course, I only ran that channel for about 6 months, and I did one video a month.
Yeah.
But we're really excited about this channel. We're not going anywhere anytime soon.
No, you're kind of stuck with us. Thanks for hanging out.
And we're hoping that you guys really enjoy watching us expand and grow.
Yep, there's a lot of fun stuff coming up over the next year, and I hope you guys stick around to see it.
So thanks for sitting down with us today, guys, and listening to What's It Like to Homestead. If you guys haven't seen part 1 and part 2, check them out. They're right up over here somewhere in this area. And we'll see you guys tomorrow. And as always, thanks for watching.